Disney wokes Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh, you're an asshole.
The ruiner of Star Wars franchises.
You are correct, sir. Yes.
Gets wrecked by South Park. Gina Carano weighs in.
What the fuck?
Puts her on full blast. And opens up a fresh can of whoop ass.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
But, do you hear that? It's all the crying. I'm Jazz Berganzo, and this is What's Next. What's up, everyone? Jazz Berganzo, What's Next? Your daily dose. Hope you guys are feeling good today on this Monday. Depends on what time this video hits. It may be Tuesday, but let's hoping for that. Anywho, Disney. Ah, yes, Disney. The company that Walt built. Of course, Walt has been doing backflips and somersaults and rolling over in his grave for the better part of the last 30 years because of the nonsense, trash, and wokeness that has hit this company. And that's not even counting all the pedo-isms. The shows. The movies. Talking in particular Star Wars. Yes, Star Wars, that legendary franchise that started back in 1977. You know, Darth and Luke and, Han Solo and Leia and all those wonderful characters. Well, from generation to generation, it's been passed down to know what true sci-fi is. Well, unless you're going to get into an argument with Star Trek fans, but that's another story for another day. But we're not here to talk about that. Well, we're here to talk about that, but we're here to talk about one person in particular, two people in particular, shall I say, the head of Star Wars franchises, the ruiner of Star Wars franchises. Yes, that would be one Kathleen Kennedy. And of course, rumor of her firing, sad, didn't come true. Let's go over those wonderful hits, shall we? What are we looking at? The last quote-unquote trilogy, with wonderful Rey, who knew everything about to be Skywalker, but was never really trained, but she was fresh out the box, so she knew everything. And then, of course, you had Mandalorian. You've had Solo. You've had, of course, now we have Ahsoka. And, of course, prior to that, you had Obi-Wan. So, outside of Mandalorian's first two seasons with Gina Carano, and outside of the episode 5 of Ahsoka, it's not a good track record, Disney. Just saying. Kathleen, you need to do better. Be better. But unfortunately, it's Kathleen Kennedy, so this is what you got. Speaking of Gina Carano, South Park came out with an episode roasting Kathleen Kennedy and, of course, how she conducts herself at Disney as only a South Park can do. Gina Carano weighed in, opened up a fresh can of whoop ass, and oh, it's a treat. And here we go. This comes out of CBR. Gina Carano blasts Kathleen Kennedy after unflattering South Park portrayal. Former Star Wars star Gina Carano went on a tirade against Kathleen Kennedy after Lucasfilm boss roasting on South Park. Tirade? No, it was more like common sense savagery. Almost 3 years after her firing from The Mandalorian, because of isms, Gina Carano is putting her former Lucas boss on blast. Back in 2021, Carano generated a great deal of controversy with problematic social media posts. No, not really. They were more like common sense and facts. But this ultimately led to her removal as Rose Cara Dune, yes, the most popular character on Mandalorian from the Star Wars series. And she did not return in season 3. Yes, because she got fired on flattery on social media. More recently, Paramount Plus debuted all new South Park special, dubbed South Park Joining the Pandaverse, in which they took aim at Disney and Lucasfilm had Kathleen Kennedy for making new films and TV shows much more about diverse in their casting than actual content. Yes. Make it gay, make it lame, and put it out there. Just saying. Carano subsequently took to X, former Twitter, to post a rant about her reaction to Kennedy's portrayal in South Park. Carano. I'm going to read Carano's initial comments, but let's watch this lovely clip. Boom. Gina Carano. And this was her initial comment. This is the part where Kathleen Kennedy demands any YouTubers get censored off of YouTube for sharing and laughing at this hilarious episode. She'll have the YouTube disable the thumbs down option because of the ratio she'll receive. Then she'll have her publicist ghouls make sure Variety and Hollywood Reporter run hit pieces about South Park creators and their families, smearing their names throughout every useful idiot she has under her thumb who would sell their soul for Lucasfilm. She'll activate her online mob to repeat the South Park creators are racist, bigots, transphobes, and demand that South Park creators publicly apologize by only using words she approves, and finally she'll demand to subject themselves to a re-education camp of 45 people in the alphabet community Zoom call to sit there and listen to how badly they got their feelings hurt all over a little boop of South Park episode. But maybe, just maybe, the jig is up. Well, of course, you were going to have one idiot who was going to comment on it. In case you were wondering, Gina Carano has lost her GD mind. And here is Gina's response. It's a long one. Do you always call a woman crazy just because she has more first-hand experience than you, says something you don't like or understand? Bit misogynistic, don't you think? Tisk, tisk. Curious, if your overlords pay you, or do you just go ahead and shove your whole head straight up your ass for free? I'm guessing for free. Might want to come out there for fresh air. For some added context, not just you, but for many people reading, one of the things your overlords asked me to do was to unfollow certain accounts because they said bad thing about Kathleen Kennedy. That was a huge red flag for me. And that's a fact. She was told to not to follow peoples who had bad isms about Kathleen Kennedy. If I were the head of one of those most powerful entertainment companies in the world, I would know that the haters come with the territory and that maybe the haters are expressing their thoughts because they were actually caring. They care, and caring is a good thing because as long as they care, well, hey, we'll still have something to work with. Maybe we can win their hearts back eventually, and maybe they'll have some good things to add to the conversation, which they do and did. And at the very least, that they are still buying the product. Look at Mando Season 1. Boom! The healing had begun. If you're a proper good leader, you'll learn how to embrace and communicate, not dictate in silence and demand your actors, directors unfollow and shame more than half your fan base and the people who have stuck with the franchise for decades. Oof. Side note, don't say the force is female and then allow the only men to express their political views online. In fact, just drop the ridiculous phrase completely. One of the problems your overlords is having now is that they made a lot of people completely stop caring about one of the most beloved franchises in history, all by bullying, pushing aggressive agendas, and trying to silence the people that criticize them. How are they able to tell stories if they don't understand when the ones that they identify are with the Empire? That they are literally trying to squash the little guys, the rebellion. No wonder the storytelling is struggling. They fired and dehumanized people like me who did absolutely nothing wrong, all to virtue signal people like you, the yes men. But the yes men, unfortunately for you and them, don't drive the culture. Maybe because they were banking on the kids picking up the slack, but one of the best things about this franchise is passing from generation to share. The competition is so high to throw out something as valuable as that. Why would one generation pass it on when you've disrespected and thrown them away? Your overlords have tried to hide behind the two opposing fan bases fighting each other instead of taking responsibility. So they encourage the hate. All while virtue signaling, they are standing up for the minorities, but instead using them as a shield and weapon. Funny how our government works. Funny enough, just how our government works. Yeah, same way. They think that people will forget. And yes, maybe they will for the moment, but they've heard the people's voice and they shook them. And it shook them, They're choosing to stick with their weak leadership who couldn't handle the YouTube saying mean things online. When it was all would have taken a true leader to step in, take the reins, take their own responsibility, stop discriminating, apologize about the things that they have done wrong, step completely out of politics, be truly inclusive, and they'd be back in business. Until then, they're stuck with you, the yes men, and their plummeting stock. I'm not saying I'm right on all fronts, but I'm open-hearted and refuse to discriminate based off the powerful people telling me how to think, act, and if there was something I needed to apologize for, I would have in a heartbeat, but I didn't because I didn't do anything wrong. People come up to me and daily to shake my hand and thank me for taking a stand, even people who think diff. One thing is true, Good leadership makes for a better world, leading to healthy, happier people and better opportunities. Look around. We are watching the devastating effects of what bad leadership can do worldwide. Yeah, that's you, dementia. My thoughts. Well said. Well said, Gina. Well said. I can't add to that. But I will say this. But for Gina to say what she said, as I said earlier in this piece, was common sense savagery. She said it calm. She said it coolly. Outside of the shoving up the head up the ass, it was all about common sense. Great leadership makes a company great. Take the reins makes the company great. Put out great content makes the company great. And when you put out great content, you bring the fans in. Kathleen Kennedy has done one thing and one thing masterfully well. She's driven away bases. She's driven away fan bases. The Star Wars fan base, the Marvel fan base. She's driven them away because she doesn't give a fuck. She don't give a fuck about you. She don't give a fuck about the fans. She don't give a fuck about the franchises. It's the reason why she still has a job. Now, being that she don't give a fuck, same thing goes with the Star Wars fan base because they don't give a fuck. And kudos, again, to Gina Carano. Well said. And Gina, when's your next movie? When's your next project? You know? What's up with that? And with that being said, I'm Jazz Borganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it, hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a thing. And we'll see you next time. Peace.